Welcome back to the Cetera Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Long, my co-host, Mark. Mark, you look tired.
I have been defeated today.
Defeated? What happened?
Bruh, it's just work was just something different today, man. There was
Testing you?
a different breed of people today. I don't know where they came from, some caves or from the sky. I don't know, but it was just something.
It's Friday. It's tax time. It's
Bro, they
all
were
of that.
coming in like they were trying to. I don't know. There was one boy who was barking and shit. Like
Barking. What you had? DMX, rest in peace.
bro. I mean, you would have thought, right? You would have thought. So the story goes like this.
What's my account? What's my routing?
Story goes like this. I was already inside. I was on my lunch break. So I'm like, all right, boom. I ate my food inside. Then I was like, you know what? I need a little like away time from this place. So I was like, I'm gonna just go to the car and just sit in there for a little bit.
I feel that. I do that.
You know, so that's what I did. Fast forward, my break's over. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go inside. I go inside and there's this bull dressed like basically in all red. He had a red shirt. He got red Jordans on. I mean, I hope that they were real, but who knows? I couldn't really tell. But he's in front of me. So I'm like, all right, he's just in front of me, whatever. And funny thing is, the first door, like you had a pool. So there's two doors. So he opened the first one perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he didn't know I was behind him because he didn't hold the door for me. He's kind of asshole.
Excited.
So I was like, whatever. Second door, he tries to open it and his hand like slips when you know how you pull it and you kind of like grab the door, like you don't even really hold it from the doorknob anymore. You kind of just pull it from the actual door itself and you pull it open kind of. Mm-hmm. So he tried to do that, but his hand slipped. So that shit was like funny because it kind of caught him while he was trying to get in. So he was just like this and he was trying to pull it open, like it got him stuck. And I was
messed up his gangster a little bit.
Yeah. And I was like, this nigga looks stupid. So I was like, all right, whatever. Passed by him to go inside. Basically I go back to my computer so I can like basically put myself that I'm not at lunch anymore. And this bull was headed in line. So I'm at my computer now and I'm like, and today I'm like right in the middle. So basically we have like a place where you go in line or whatever. And it meets me right smack in the middle. So basically anybody who gets in line, they just see me. I'm the first person they can see. And I hate that because I get no time to breathe for nothing. But anyway, I go and, I go to my computer and do what I was going to do. He's there, and there's this woman that's in front of him, and he just started. I just hear him barking, and I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck is this bull on?" Like,
was he trying to holler at her? Is that like his way? Was she like good looking? Like I don't.
I mean, like I really didn't get a good look at her, but all I did was look at her face for a little bit, and I could tell that she was just kind of like smirking, like, "Yo, like what the hell is this nigga doing? Like, like what the fuck is he on?" And I didn't hear what he said, but he said something after he did. He did it like twice. And I was like, what is he doing? And whatever, somebody takes her. So she goes to wherever was saying to take her at. And then now it's just him at the front. And he's now like just sitting there, just kind of like, you know, acting like he like cool gangster, whatever. I don't know what he's trying to be. And then he over here sees me, but again, I'm trying to do what I was trying to do. And he's just like, he was like, bro. And I'm like, I look up, I'm like, yeah. And he over here, look, he had, I guess, like checks in his hand or something. Yeah, son. He just kind of looked at it, like pulled up, like, and I'm like, I just got back. I was like, I can't help you. I just got back. And he was just like, oh man. I'm like, bro, what are you on?
Yeah. like what world do you live in? What year is this? Like,
I was like, he just kind of got me tight. And then I had walked away because I still had my jacket on, so I went to go put that back. And from what I heard, though, is when I was away, he actually went to one of my coworkers, and supposedly he ended up trying to like hit on her, and he was basically saying shit like telling. So mind you, I give you context here. She was wearing a turtleneck, right?
Okay.
This man went and said, "Yo, you got a nice neck," and I'm like. Like,
what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? So supposedly you had told her that she had a good looking neck.
And I was about to say.
No, a good looking
in there.
Good looking neck. And on top of that, he like ended up asking her, he was like, "You married?" And then he was like, "If you're not married, would you give me a hug?" And I was like, what? Like, yo, who is this?
How old is this guy?
Bro, Bull was like
Ballpark.
old head. He was an old head. I wouldn't say old head, like he ain't like gray hair or whatever, but he was like, if anything,
A
maybe
grown
like,
man.
yeah, like he had to be like late 40s, if anything, you know.
Okay, yeah. I mean, too old to be coming out with this weak ass game.
Like Bull was,
You
I
got
don't
30 years
know.
of experience at least.
Yeah, like it was just stupid. I'm like,
He
what the
said,
hell?
"Let me tell you something, sugar.
Yeah,
You
he's
got
like,
a good looking neck."
And I was like, yo, ain't no way, bro. What is up with this boy? But I heard that shit and I was like, I'm done. It was literally, I think, after I got back from lunches to when everything started to spiral down. Because before it wasn't that crazy. Because turns out there was actually some other incident that ended up happening around my job where there was some type of I guess hazmat type of situation where there
Okay.
was this I guess because I ended up talking to Emily and she heard about it too, that there was this like meth lab thing or whatever that was like somewhere around in that area. So
And you're
suppose
near your job, or
yeah, near my job.
yeah,
And they were
Walter White
like
over there.
near my job, and there was like I heard about cops are like blocking like certain like streets, like for a good amount and all this shit. There was a helicopter above. And what was funny about it is that I had no idea what was going on. Like I'm at work. So I got people coming in saying, like, hey, what's going on? You know what's going on? I'm like, what you mean? Like
You
I
tell
don't
me.
I'm like, I can't really see
Clearly,
out
you
the
know something I don't.
exactly. I'm like, I hear the helicopter, but I thought that was normal. You know, you just hear that
Yeah,
all the time. Like, but I'm like, what are you talking about? Supposedly, they're like, oh yeah, there's this shit situation going on and everything. My manager ended up telling me there's like this boy, I guess, who came outside and had stuff on him. I guess, like
like a suit.
that. I would know. I want to say the suit. This person who came out before all that happened, I guess, had this like the powder. You know that
Oh, like
cocaine on him.
he had he
You
had
know,
an explosion while he was in there, while he was water
I
whipping in the
guess
pot.
so. So supposedly that happened, I guess, and then that's when that kind of that situation got crazy because I guess somebody must have called that in and said, "Yo, like there's something going down over here." So then after that, that's when like all this shit started happening, and everybody just started coming in telling me about it. I'm like, bro, I don't know what the hell is happening
Yeah,
out there, but
I've been banking all day. I don't know.
exactly, bro. And my job, the way it is that there's not really windows in per se. Like there's windows on the more higher parts to let light in or whatever it needs to be. But other than that, like I can't tell what's happening. I
Yeah,
hear
I
the
mean, so
sirens, I hear the helicopter, but I'm in Philly. That's normal to me.
yeah,
If I hear a siren, I'm just
that's
like,
white noise.
exactly. I'm like, whatever. I don't know. But once everybody starts telling me, like, yo, you hear that? I'm like, okay, what's going on now? Like, I got bulls barking, bulls in hazmat suits. You know, I don't know what's going on today, but today was just something different. But that was my day. How was yours?
My day was chilling. I had off today, so I just like did as much as I could with my day because I know when I work, I'll be having barely any time to do anything. I just got to cut and yeah, worked out and stuff. I went to Barnes and Noble, bought this book. See, it'll come up. I got
Hey, I see him. Don't worry.
if
The
it'll.
green
Oh, there
screen
you
can't hide him.
go. Yeah. So I'm trying to get better with my Spanish. So, and I noticed the last time I went to Barnes and Noble, there's a section where like the books are written in Spanish. And since for work I need to use my Spanish, I want to expand my vocabulary. So I bought a book to read in Spanish. And this was an option.
Who
This was
better?
There was like Dune in there as an option, but Dune
Oh,
was
yeah.
like 800 pages. And I'm like, I'll read Dune, but like 800 pages of Spanish when I'm trying to expand, like that's kind of wild. This is like 400, and it's about Danny Trejo. So I was like, it's kind of fire. He had a crazy life, you know, went to jail, became a movie star. So owns like a vegan restaurant now and stuff. So like, I feel like it's a good start.
I'm surprised he doesn't own some type of like leather vest. You know,
If
store.
if not, it's coming soon. I think he also owns like a tequila as well.
Nice,
But
nice. See, I would drink that. You know, all the people that come out with all their like type of, you know, alcohol and everything like that. I feel like out of all of them, if you told me Danny Trejo's tequila was right there in front of me, I would choose his.
yeah,
Like,
true. You know what? It took me a while to like even, or like I feel like I knew, then I forgot, and then I got reminded again that Clase Azul is like George Clooney's tequila.
yeah, yeah.
I completely
Mhm.
forgot about that. And a bunch of people
Yeah.
have tequila now because it's like out of all the alcohols, it's like one of the more healthier ones. It's like champagne. Um, but yeah, also, I mean, the reason I even brought that up in the first place, I had a weird little situation in the Barnes and Noble, and
Start
yeah,
going crazy on you.
yeah, bro, I was telling Quinn about it earlier. I don't want to get too deep into it just because like I don't know what the person's situation was, but I was one, the same one that I go to, they like rearranged the way the shelves were, so I was kind of lost. And then either way, I always walk into the manga section anyway, just because I don't know, it's just why not? Even though
Yeah,
I
true,
don't buy
true.
any. But I was looking at everything, and then after like I did like 2 laps around the store, I finally found where the Spanish section is, which is literally like one bookshelf, like this wide. It used to be bigger, but it was like this wide, and it was just by itself next to the door in the bathroom. I was like, this is kind of racist, but anyway,
This is
um,
kind of racist.
but I found it, and then like the books were kind of all over the place. It was like 50% Bibles, and I'm like, I'm not reading the Bible in Spanish. I like
50%.
I like I just need something that like is a topic that I can get into and I can actually learn something out of. So I was like, it was either Dune or that. Um, and they had like the four agreements and all that stuff, but I'm just like, it's that book is overused right now.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But whatever. Point is, I was standing there. I finally got there, and I was like in my zone, just like looking because it was like disorganized. So I was reading like every title, and some guy just was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I'm just like, "What's up?" Like, you ever be like so deep in thought, and then somebody like approaches you, you gotta like snap out of it. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Oh, like he didn't even look at the bookshelf. He was just like, oh, like good selection here." And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, so immediately I was like, "Oh, he works here. He must know what's here." And he looked Hispanic, so I'm like, "All right, like Hispanic to Hispanic, we about to have this talk right now." So he's like, "Oh, like first thing right off the gate, he's like, "Oh, do you comb your hair to the front or to the back?" I'm like, "You could just look at me and know what I got going on here." But in my head, I'm like, I just before I got there, I had got a haircut. So I'm like, oh, bullshit. Like he looks Puerto Rican. He see my hair. He probably like they want to know like where I got my hair cut or something. I thought that's what it was gonna be. No, he just kept asking me, do I comb my hair to the front or to the back? He said, do you use pomades or whatever? Like, bro, like look at my hair right now. Do it look like I use a pomade or anything right now? Like, this is you asking the wrong guy because his hair was longer. So he just keeps asking me all these questions. He's like, oh, like I like in the 50s and 60s, bulls used to have their hair long and I used to have it slicked back. He's like, you ever get your hair slicked back? I was like, nah, like I told you, I never really had it long. So I never really had the opportunity to do that. I usually just comb it straight forward. It's just whole spiel about him talking about the 50s and 60s and 70s. The guy has to be like 30 years old. Like it's not like an old head where you having this like conversation. Then you know you talk to old people, they just carry on. It's a guy
Yeah, yeah.
not that much older than us. So he just keeps on going. And he's like, you Puerto Rican? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you speak Spanish? I was like, yeah, I do. But like, I just got this new job. I got to use my Spanish more. I want to expand what my vocabulary with it because I'm writing a lot more. He's like, oh, cool, cool, cool. He's like, see, you got to do that when you're young. You're too late. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. Um, I can't learn after the age of 10, I guess. But yeah, so he's just being weird like that. And he's like, oh, you ever been to PR? I'm like, yeah, I went sometimes as a kid and I went like as a little bit older, probably like 2, 3 years ago. And I know this is very drawn out, but it's gonna get to the point. Like there's a purpose here.
That's fine. I'm cool with stories like this. I like to picture it and act like I'm there. That's why
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm like I'll tell you every detail just until you understand exactly how it went down.
So it's a buildup. So then he's like, you ever been? I'm like, yeah, I have. He was like, the barbershops over there, do they have pictures of like people in the 50s and 60s? I'm like, bro, I don't know. I went for
Oh,
vacation. I
what's
didn't get
your
a cut. I got a cut before I went there. Like,
what's his fetish with the 50s and 60s, bro?
hear me out. So he just keeps on going. And then I'm like, yeah, like I don't really know. Like I'm assuming like I was like, there's probably ones that have been around for forever. You know what I mean? Like there's probably a barbershop that's been around for many years. They probably do have that old stuff there because some places like to make like keep the look of like back then or whatever, just because of like history. So he's like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. He was like, and then he just branches off. He starts talking about like why I don't know Spanish that well. Cause he was basically talking about how like um because I was like, oh, like my parents never really made it that much of a point for me to be like super fluent. And it's like, oh, like that's because like past generations, like they didn't want to get you to be mistreated. Da da da. I'm like, yeah, like I get that. Like I know the story, bro. Like we're both. I'm assuming both Hispanic. Like
I'm assuming, yeah, at this
yeah,
point.
like you. I know the spiel. I know why. Like I know the history. But like I'm trying to change that. You know what I mean? So and then he's like, oh, like I like Spain, like women from Spanish women, like women from Spain. And I'm like, cool, bro. Like that's great.
That's
He
awesome, man.
he was like, that's where they have like He's like, they okay. They got like dark hair, brown eyes. I'm like, all right. It's kind of weird to throw that in there. He's like, but I like the northern ones too because they got like blonde hair, blue eye. Like that's my. I'm like, cool, bro. Good for you. He was like, I like British women too, but like, there's not too many pretty ones. There's probably like four of them, and then the rest are kind of. I'm like, all right, bro. Like, what are we talking about? Then he's out of nowhere. He's just like, I don't like this generation. I'm like, all right, man. But like, mind you, before this even started, I kind of had a feeling. I'm like, something's off about this guy. But I was like, I don't want to be rude. So I'm gonna just like do my little small talk, grab my book and dip. And I was trying to get out this conversation, but he was really good at roping me in. So he just keeps on going. He's like, I don't like this generation. He's like, oh, I can't find a trade. I can't find a job. I'm trying to like get that sorted. And like ever since the pandemic has been terrible. I'm like, yeah, I know, bro. Like I went through the same stuff. Like it's just times are tough right now for jobs and in general, like money, everything's tight. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you know whose fault it is? He's like, it's not the orange guy. And he leans close to him. He like whispers, he's like, it's Biden's fault. And I'm like, oh my God, bro, I gotta get out of this like soon. No. So he just keeps going to the street. He's like, yo, like he's the worst president. Like he's terrible. Like his policy is everything. Like I hate everything about him. I'm like, yeah, bro. Like I was just like, obviously I don't agree with him like entirely, but I'm just kind of like, I don't want to debate with you because that's going to prolong everything.
Yeah, you have to agree because if you say no, then at that point
it's going to extend everything.
You got to explain.
So I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying like, okay, yeah, that's crazy. You know, the usual.
Damn.
Yeah. So he just keeps going deeper and deeper down that path, and he just keeps like progressively just gets more and more like racist about it. I'm just like, all right, man. Like he's just like, oh, like he just name drops random stuff. He's like, yeah, he's like, Puerto Rico's bad too. It's corrupt over there. The government's corrupt. I was like, honestly, like that's facts though. But then he was just like, oh yeah, like the fentanyl over there come from Colombia. I'm like, how we pull out Colombia? Like, where are you going with this, man? And then he just keeps on. He's like, yeah, and then the border's here. Like they keep letting in people from Mexico, and they need to send them to jail or send them back. I'm like, all right, bro. Like, you keep. If this lasts another 5 minutes, we're gonna go back to like civil rights movement type stuff, and I don't want to get there yet.
I'm gonna tell you. So I keep bringing up the 50s and
yeah, bro, and everything. Like he just kept. He's like, oh yeah, the what's it called? He kept bringing up pompadour haircuts. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, he seemed like very smart. Like he knew a lot of history stuff, but it's just like, I feel like you spent too much time on Reddit or something to have these opinions right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it got to the point where like I just kept okay and yan him that I think he got tired of it. He's like, all right, bro, I gotta go. And in my head, I kind of laughed to myself because Will probably walked over like, yo, that boy weirdo. Like to me.
Oh shit!
Like he was probably like, I gotta get out of this conversation. Like he don't shut up.
Wow, this is the 8th. Yeah, I mean, God, did he say anything else?
But it was super drawn out, bro. And I'm sorry I took so long to get to that point, but it was just like it just kept getting worse and worse. Like it was a buildup of just more and more. Like, all right, where are we going here?
You're good for that because I just had this conversation with Emily, and I was like, I can't do small talk. I'm just terrible.
I hate it. Honestly, as it was happening today, I was like, I'm proud of myself that I'm like holding down this small talk right now. Up until it got racist, but like I was doing good. I was doing good before that, where I was like, because usually I'm super awkward with that stuff, but I did good today, so I was happy about that until he got weird.
Yeah, I had that conversation with her because like she's different from me as being an extrovert, so she's able to just like if someone either talks to her or she needs to like talk to somebody else, it's just fluent and just easy. I'm just like, if I'm in a room with you and I don't know who you are, and I need something in that room. I promise you, I'm not going to say a word to you. I'm going to get what I need to get and then leave. Even if what I need to get is like you're in that way, you're in the way of that thing, I would get around you awkwardly without saying anything. I'll probably just say, excuse me, and then get what I get.
I was about to say, that's kind of rude.
No, yeah, I would say, excuse me. I wouldn't be rude about it, but I would be like, you know what I mean? Like, I would just try to like get around and just get what I need to get and then head out. Like that would be it. Like, I have no reason to try to conversate. Like, it'd just be like, I need to get this. Hey, that's it.
I'll acknowledge your existence, but I'm not going to try and be like, oh yeah, wonderful weather we're having. Like, I'm not that person.
That's what I mean. Like, I won't even try.
Like, you don't care. I don't care. Like, I'm just going to say, excuse me, or like, oh, like, how you doing?
Exactly.
good and keep it pushing. But
Yeah.
I've gotten better at that. Honestly, like even when I started my new job, like on that first day, it was like me and like 15 other people that started that day. And we were just all sitting on like the lobby, like waiting to go to our training department onboard and stuff. And I was happy. I was like, I initiated conversation with like everybody and like had like
like, like everybody get in a circle. Come on, right now, right now.
not even that. Like we were just sitting there, but everybody was just there quiet. So I'm just like, like is this is your first day too? Like what department you working in, whatever. And like I know those people's names and stuff. I used to never do that. I was like, let me push myself to do that because like you know what's like that carries a lot more weight than I like knew
Oh
when I
yeah.
was younger. Like that, you could get farther in life doing that than like being super smart or doing whatever. Like if you could be the most talented person or, you know, super smart or whatever it may be, but if you don't know how to like build connections or talk to people or like make that talk, like you can only get so far without doing that stuff. Like you have to do that at some point. I realized that
Yeah.
in like college too, with like finding work and stuff. I was like, damn, like I wasn't there yet. I understand why, but like they would have made all the difference if I was able to make those small talks with people. Like I never talked to any of my professors like that. I know like those things like help you out.
Yeah. I always like was told like, and I stick by this all the time too. Like it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Bro.
And that's
And
just
see, but
yeah.
like I wasn't taught that like being younger. Like it was just kind of like, oh, like do what you gotta do, get your work done, like work hard or whatever. But
Yeah.
like we've learned even now from what we do is like it doesn't matter about talent, to be honest. Like it's just
Yeah.
you collaborate and you know bounce off of other people's stuff and you build those connections. And that's how you get those opportunities. But because if it was a competition, like a competition of like who's the most talented, like there's so many other people even outside of us who are more talented than we are with certain things that they should be, you know, at the top. Like,
Yeah.
and you see some other content that just, you know what I
A
mean?
lot of
There's
that,
it's low effort, but it just generates it because they and not to say that they're not talented, because at the same time, like for example, you think of like a Jake Paul, Logan Paul type thing, where you look at the content like it's cringy or like it's forced, and it's like yeah, they're bad at that stuff, but they're very good at the marketing part,
yeah,
where they're
yeah.
able to build that audience, and that's how you see them
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
like
say.
blowing
A
up.
lot of the times it always ends up being like, they end up having that one video that, makes them popular. And going forward after that, you watch their content and you're just like, how? Like, how
Because they
did they get
capitalize on that moment, like they
exactly?
take
Yeah,
that and then they just build on it.
exactly. And again, it's like we go back to the saying, it's just like not what you know, it's who you know. And if, if what they didn't know was how to make great content, they knew the people to be able to say, okay, well, let's just get this on here. And we know from there we can just work it out. It's that simple. But again, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it is simple to the most part where that's just all you really got to do,
Yeah, and that's how you see people like even with like say example for school and like you'll think about somebody who's like has 4.0 whatever
Yeah.
and they won't get the same looks just because you know Timmy's dad knows the CEO of this company, and
True.
even though Timmy has a 2.0 GPA, they're going to get a better look at them than the kid who has a 4.0 because they know the guy who knows the guy.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
another thing that kind of like set that or like that was a great example where like it just kind of blew my mind where it's like obviously the Paul brothers, like a lot of people you either love them or hate them, I guess, in a
Yeah.
sense. And I've never really watched any of their content ever. Not even like
Yeah.
Vine days. Like they were just always a part of a video of somebody else I follow. But like seeing after this most recent fight with not Tyson Fury, what's his brother's name? Damn.
Who?
Tyson Fury's brother. He just fought
I don't
one of
know.
the Paul brothers.
Yeah, he fought Jake, I believe.
Yeah. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. His name was Tommy Fury,
Oh.
I believe. Tommy Fury. And like Tommy Fury is a legitimate boxer, even though he's still like not as popular as his older brother, Tyson.
Mhm.
But it was wild to me that like they went from doing like Vine videos to doing like YouTube and being huge there to then doing these boxing events and people being like, oh, nobody's ever going to take this serious. Like, this is dumb. It doesn't mean anything. It's rigged. Da, 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 da. To then I'm at work and I have to like, since it's revolving around sports, I have a TV in front of me and I'm sitting doing my work at my desk typing, and I look up and I see Jake Paul talking to Stephen A. Smith about his fight that's happening that Saturday. Like that's wild to me. Like regardless of like how you feel about the person, like to go from an app to that and selling out an arena and having people pay-per-view and people actually like having it a main event, like that's wild. Like you got to respect that regardless.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like it is like you said, it is crazy to think like that. Cause again, like it's almost like that thing with Kanye. Like, what the this guy got to know about cameras?
Yeah.
You know, it's like that exact same thing. You know what I mean? And you're just thinking, like, what the fuck does Jake know about boxing? You know, and
And
not
I
to
mean,
say,
initially it was nothing. Like
yeah,
both of them both had like I believe in college they were like college athletes like for wrestling or something, or at least one of them
wrestling.
was.
Yeah, I think I would say that.
But yeah, like they started with nothing, but they I guess bought like paid for trainers, and now they're at a point where it's
Yeah.
like they're amateur boxers. Like
Yeah, they can again get the training and all that stuff because they got to that point, and that's where it's just like that idea where it's just like you said, just for being on an app, now they're on here, and it's just because of what they did in the beginning, and now they're just literally just like, okay, do you know there's anybody who can train me to box? And just like, oh yeah, easy, it's just do
mhm.
that, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, especially that's another thing too. When you've already, because I was talking to somebody else about this, where they were like, basically the idea of like somebody being famous and branching out into other things. And it's like, it's a lot easier to start a new, like, once you've already done it once, it's easier to just kind of replicate that success in a way. Like, you think about like Kevin Hart, right? Is like, oh, he did stand up. He like got into some movies early on. I'm fighting back on this sneeze right now.
Just mute yourself.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Uh, he got to that point and like it just got to he did this acting, did this stand up,
Yeah.
then he started doing fitness and he turned that into a thing to the point where he got a sneaker with Nike, was doing marathons and stuff with the Nike app. And then he opened up a restaurant in like at Cali or something where it's like all like healthy. Then he has a tequila. He got into like bigger movies. And then it just kept, he has his own like comedy network now and a radio station. And he has stuff with, was it Chase Bank, I believe. So it's like, once you already have that one thing set in stone,
Yeah.
it gets kind of easier to build on top of that success because he has the access from that stuff.
Yeah, it's really just the foundation. And a lot of times the people look at like, is this person someone who is, I guess, I wouldn't say like popular, but we can use to be able to like, get good marketing off of. Because again, it
Yeah.
all falls down to that, in a way. And yeah, at that point, once they see that that person is like serious about it and, they're actually good at it, it's like, oh, well, we don't even have to worry about him being good because he is like amazing at it. We just got to capitalize on what he does.
On
And
his name, his
yeah,
brand.
exactly. And it's just easy.
Yeah. And a lot of times they don't even, I mean, they're probably just the ones saying yes or no to things, but they have a bunch of other people they pay to just handle a lot of that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
So it's wild. I had another
Yeah.
point about this and I'm forgetting what it was. But yeah, it's wild. It just shows like obviously there's, like you said, who you know, like there's advantages to that some other people might not have. But and it's possible. Anybody could do it.
Hey man, look, get about a year from now. It's gonna be me and you in the ring,
Hey man. If somebody would you no, and also if somebody approached us about that, would you do it?
Yeah, I would.
Like against me? I would too.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I definitely would. I definitely would. I would do all of that and then even do the whole like when we like meet up and we got to do the whole picture and face to
Yeah.
face, the face
Yeah.
to face job. I would
We can
even
just
do
talk
all
to
that.
it, be like, bro, like once soon as the cameras come on, we hate each other. Like let's have fun with it.
I'll just be right in your face. I'll be like, I just hold it back though. Like hardest like laugh. I'm like, yo, bro, stop looking at me. Like,
Yeah.
like,
We'll do a whole series about it, hire a crew, like it's like leading to the fight.
right? A whole documentary about
Yeah.
it.
That'd
Like,
be
so
fire.
how do you really feel about Victor? It's like,
To be honest,
who is that guy?
I ain't like Wolf for real.
I never liked him. I hated him all the way back then. I hate him now.
I just wanted to get to this point and that's it.
That's it. Once I got here, who needs him? It's like, damn.
Nah, next thing you know, we find Salt Poppy. Salt Poppy got hands supposedly in the content creator community.
I heard because I didn't see the fight, but I heard that he won his fight. It wasn't. I forget which one. It was like kind of a while ago.
I think he's won his last two by knockout, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, ah, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, heavy. Yep.
Can you imagine? I mean, I don't know if there are too many at this point that are like Philly content creators that still consider themselves Philly content creators. I feel like certain ones got to a point where they just like moved to LA and now they're LA people now. Like they don't even.
Ah,
But if there was like a Philly like content creator fighting event,
yeah,
like it would be like it wouldn't even be like because you'd have those ones that are more Philly known because you think about like Asia Star or like Funny
yeah.
Bull Quill or just like what that one girl name that she just be on the street like barefoot.
I don't know.
But yeah, there's a who else is out there they could do? They're like
I
creators
can't
because there's
think.
like smaller ones that they just be doing random little videos.
Mm.
You know what's the I don't know if he's from Philly or not, but the bull like Trey Rags or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? The bull with the glasses and the red shirt. He be acting like a whole menace.
I think
Like, babe,
so.
I'm not your babe. Like
I feel like I
it
do know what you're talking about.
just be like any situation, but it's always the joke is with his accounts like the bull in the red shirt is like always a menace in every situation. Like
Always a menace, bro. Watch out for him.
trying to think of one. It just be like, oh, the first one that I feel like I remember the most is like it was the guy in the red shirt. I guess he worked. It was like he worked at the aquarium or something. But it was like a school trip with a bunch of like disabled kids or like handicapped. I don't know what the proper word is, but one of them was blind. He kept staring at the bull with the red shirt. He was like, "Hey, teacher, what's he staring at?" He just kept having beef with. It's like, sir, that child is blind. He doesn't know what he's.
Oh my god, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. He makes the skits and shit about that.
yeah,
Yeah. It was a school field trip with a bunch of like different they
like
had special
deaf and
needs,
blind
like
kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I think there was one who had Tourette's, and he was just like, whoa, he was like, I forget the word he said, but he was like, you want to throw some hands? He's like, sir, he has Tourette's. He was like, nah.
Yeah, but it's always he has like a red polo. It's the same bull every time. It's like in every situation.
That boy's hilarious.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think he's so funny is because he's still like one of the very last people that like. Now again, please understand what I'm saying. He like doesn't take. He says what he like wants to make as far as
Hmm.
like being funny, and he doesn't
Hmm.
really care. Like you have a lot of
Yeah.
people who be really careful about that stuff, but he's just like funny with it, and I think that's just hilarious because it's just like you don't see stuff like that anymore, and I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of that shit is still funny. It's just you don't see it anymore.
A lot of you when you think about it, a lot of the time because there's still a lot of creators that make content like that.
Yeah,
It just all depends on what audience sees it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because if people like us will see like yo like we know he's joking as funny but there's still a group out there like if like for example like a TikTok for you page but like if it ends up on the wrong for you page the comment
exactly.
section is going to look completely different like people are just like oh like you're terrible da, 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 da. So
Exactly. And that's where it's just like, bro, relax. Like, like, yo, this scenario, this skit is in a world, it just say like nothing matters,
mhm.
like just think of it like that, and just have fun with it. Don't try to like put something on it where it's just like, oh, you're so terrible. We hate you. It's just like, bro,
Yeah,
come on.
and it's never the people who actually have those conditions that are upset. It's always just
Yeah.
a regular person like somebody who's just doesn't have to deal with any of those conditions but they want to act butthurt. So
Because
a lot of
like I
times
said, at the end of the day, like I understand and I respect, and I'm not going to say that I'm making fun of him. It's just what the skit is. It's hilarious. Like again, it's
yeah.
a joke. Like I understand that.
Yeah, some people just want to have outrage, like that guy at Barnes and Noble. Um,
Oh my god, I just realized what the skit was too, though. Again, I remembered another part. The
mm,
reason why he put his hands up is because he had I don't remember the exact term, so please, if anybody, like, I'm sorry, but he was just like he had his arm, he was just like
uh,
that, and then he was like, "Yo, why you got your hands up?"
oh my
He was like, "You trying to do something?" He was like, "Sir,"
god.
I was like, "Yo,
Yeah,
stop!" Like,
I gotta try to find that video, but
yeah, but
we run out of time though, so make sure we properly close out for y'all.
all right.
Mark, where can they find you?
You can find me Instagram, ETC Marky Mark, Twitter at Marky Mark, Victor. Where can they find you and etc.
Everything's at Rilla, etc. Everything else could be found linked in our description. Um, Mark, we hit 1100, so that's another 100 down. We on our
Yes,
way to
sir.
2,
Yes, sir.
and yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. Any words before we get out here, Mark?
Stay safe out there. There's dudes barking at you. Run.
Bark back.
There's bulls talking to you about the 50s and 60s. Cut that
Run.
conversation short.
Bark at them so they can get scared.
Yeah, do anything you can. Otherwise, by the end, they'll think you're weird.
Yeah. I left that part out. That's what I did to make them leave. So,
Right.
but no, we love you guys. See you next week. Bye.